Camp Sawi is written and directed by Irene Villamor and stars Bella Padilla, R.C. Munoz, Yassi Pressman, Andy Eigenman, and Sam Milby. And Camp Sawi centers on Bridget, played by Bella Padilla, who travels to a small island resort to nurse her broken heart. There, she meets other women who are going through the same thing. Now, much like Florence Foster Jenkins, I just had no plans to watch this movie because the trailers were horrible and it just didn't seem like something I wanted to watch. But then when I remembered that Irene Villamor, the director here, directed Relax It's Just Pag-ibig, which is a movie I really liked, I decided to catch it. Camp Sawi is a very well-acted movie that features really dynamic direction from Irene Villamor, but ultimately it's just a bit too scattered and all over the place for me. Let's talk about the acting first here. Bella Padilla is solid as a protagonist and she plays Masungit really convincingly, although she does shout a bit too much, which is something I found annoying also in her performance in I, America. R.C. Munoz in this movie is just hilarious, but she's also really heartbreaking, and she rides this line really well, and she makes her character very easily sympathetic. But the people who really impressed me in this movie were Yassi Pressman, Andy Eigenman, and Kim Molina. I thought they were so good that they all kind of deserved like their own movies, like with them as the leads. Andy Eigenman had this great maturity about her. Kim Molina had this great sense of tragedy about her. And Yassi Pressman plays like a very perky, sort of charismatic young girl. And I actually didn't find it annoying. She managed to sell it. Everyone in this movie has a distinct, complex personality that really goes beyond the stereotypes, and that's what I really appreciated. And Irene Villamor depicts each arc really well. She easily makes each character's journey feel unique and authentic. In fact, this whole movie kind of comes across as a demo reel for her just to show how versatile her direction is. And this is a good-looking movie overall. You unfortunately have your token drone shots, but the location they found for Camp Sawi is just so gorgeous that I kind of gave that a pass. And to the cinematography's credit, there are some shots using stationary drones or some shots taken from inside a plane that are really, really nice, and the cinematography also changes to accommodate different arcs and characters. The sound in the movie is fine considering that much of this film was shot outdoors in windy areas like the beach. And in terms of editing, I will say that the beginning and the ending in particular are really cool in how they communicate a lot of different ideas and authentic emotions effectively in a limited amount of time. And like I said, every character is distinct and layered, and their interactions with each other feel really genuine, and at a certain point their arcs begin to intersect, and the way they intersect is really unexpected and it's really surprising. And a lot of the dialogue in the movie is very funny and it's very honest, emotionally speaking. However, my big negative with Camp Sawi is the fact that I guess I like the individual pieces more than I like the whole. Because as a whole, this movie does kind of lack coherence. It doesn't really have a fixed structure, which for me doesn't really work for this kind of story because it doesn't really come across as a very effective like ensemble film, because you have the characters of Bella Padilla and R.C. Munoz who really get full development and you understand like their journey towards healing themselves. But then the other characters, most notably Kim Molina's character, really doesn't get that much development other than point A to point Z. And I think it's kind of a disservice to like the message the movie's trying to give, because it shows you that healing your heart and stuff is kind of that easy. It just goes from point A to point Z. It doesn't really show like how painful the rest of the alphabet is. The sound is also frequently inconsistent. I mean, it's always clean, but you can tell that they did a lot of ADR as well. And like I said, the individual characters are interesting, but they don't always mesh well. The tone does shift very wildly from character to character sometimes, and sometimes I was unsure if the movie was trying to be funny or it was just unintentionally funny. Overall, watching Camp Sawi felt like I was ambling through a retreat, which is kind of unique, but it also left me oftentimes kind of bored. In the end, I still will say that Camp Sawi is an okay movie. It coasts by towards a positive review thanks to the strength of the actresses alone, so you might want to watch it just for them. So those are my thoughts on Camp Sawi. If you guys have seen it, tell me what you thought about it, and whatever you thought, whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.